Earlier today, I was speaking to a priest about my time during the quarantine. And I was telling him how I was very grateful to be in a place where we had multiple priests and a seminarian in the house. I couldn't imagine going through 2 months of not really leaving home with no one else around. And so we've had a great little community in the rectory to be able to pray together, to be able to cook and eat together, to be able to enjoy recreation time together, and even to poke fun at each other every once in a while. And so I was reminded of this importance of community. And we see this in our first reading today also. We are hearing during this Easter season from the Acts of the Apostles. And at the very end of the reading that we hear today, we're the past few days listening to the missionary journey of Paul. And so Paul is going around encouraging these young Christian communities. And at the end of our reading today, we hear that Paul remained for quite some time. And after saying farewell to the brothers, he sailed for Syria, together with Priscilla and Aquila. So Paul was going out proclaiming the gospel to all of these different places, but he didn't do it alone. Right? He always had someone else with him. And this is what we were talking about in my meeting with this priest, that we need community. Right? We need other people around us to help us along the way. And we see this elsewhere in the gospel too. Right? In the Gospels, we hear that Jesus sent out the disciples to go and preach. But he sends them out 2 by 2. He doesn't send them out alone. Right? They always go with others. At the very beginning of his ministry, his public ministry, we see Jesus calling to himself apostles. Right? 12 men that he is going to journey with over those 3 or so years that he is doing his public ministry. And so we need this aspect of community in our lives. And so as we come to the end of this school year, as you come to the end of your time at OMP, this is something that's important to think about, right? Hopefully, you've learned a lot of things. And you've learned your math and your science and your English and all those other things that you were taught in the classroom. But hopefully one of the best and most lasting lessons that you learned was this lesson of friendship, this lesson of camaraderie, this lesson of community that you enjoyed during your 8 or 9 or 10 years here at this school. And so this community, this 8th grade class, is departing, right? You're all going to various schools. And so, in a sense, this community is ending, but you are not being sent out to high school on your own. Right? Even if you're going to a school that no one else from your class is going to, you're not being sent out alone. You are setting out on another journey like St. Paul, and so you have to do it with others. Right? What others are you supposed to be in community with as you go forth? Well, I like 3, so I'll give you 3. The first other that you are being sent out into the world with is the most important. And hopefully it was the center at everything we did at OMP. Right? You are being sent out in communion, in relationship with God. Right? Looking back now, I didn't find much comfort in this when I was a little kid, but I remember, looking back now, I find a lot of comfort in it. I was, this is going to surprise you, I wasn't the coolest guy at school. You're amazed, I know. And on those days where I didn't know many people, when I didn't have a whole lot of friends, I would come home upset. And of course, my mom would try to comfort me like a good mother. Right? She would tab me and she would say, when you're feeling alone, just remember that God's with you. And remember that your guardian angel is there all the time. It didn't comfort a 6-year-old kid with no friends, but looking back now, it's true. Right? That God is always with us. And so we are hopefully sending you out with a strong relationship with Him so that you don't have to go it alone in this next stage of your life. You're also being sent out in a community, in a sense, with your family. Right? You didn't get to this point on your own. You didn't do it all by yourself. You had people helping you along the way. And so rely on your family, rely on your parents, even though coming up here in a couple of years, they're not going to know a whole lot, right? You're going to know everything and they're going to know nothing. But you've got to rely on them. Right? I'm not old, but I'm getting older, and I'm already seeing how much easier my life would have been if I would have just listened to my parents a little bit. A little bit. My mom says I was all boy. I didn't listen to much. I did my own thing. If it was fun, I was going to do it, even if I got in trouble. Right? Listen to your parents. They are there to help you. They've gotten you this far. Let them help you along the way. Right? So be in community with your parents. The third group of people that you are going to be in community with and that you need to be in community with is your classmates. Right? As I mentioned, you're splitting up. Some of you are going to different schools, but you have a bond that will remain for the rest of your life. Right? You have gone through some very formative years together. And so you have one another. And you should remain in contact. Right? You may not be best of friends, but remain in contact. And maybe even more importantly, make sure to find a good group of friends at your next school, wherever that is. Right? Friends who are going to encourage you to do the right thing. When I got to high school, I found a group of friends that did not encourage me to do the right thing. But I was so strong in my faith and my convictions that even though they tempted me to do bad things, I didn't do them. That's a lot. Right? I was around people not doing the right thing, encouraging me to do bad things, and I did a lot of really bad things. I made very poor choices. Luckily, I got most of them out of my system early on. I got in a lot of trouble, and my parents got me back on the straight and narrow. So find a group of friends at your new school who are going to encourage you in those relationships with God and your parents and each other. They're going to encourage you to strive for the greatness that we know is in you, right? For what God wants for you. Make sure that you have that strong community. And so, as you depart from this school as students, we want to let you know that you are never alone. Right? If you feel alone, come back and visit us. You always have someone who will listen to you here at OMP, at Sacred Heart. You always have someone there with you, and hopefully you leave here knowing that whenever life gets tough, and you have people that care about you, you have people that love you, you have people that want to be with you, and that you don't have to go it alone.